You feel broke even though you make a good income. You think it's inflation, taxation, and debt, but that's only part of the story. The real problem is who controls the flow of your money and who is that money actually working for. You're likely here because you've questioned how money works, where it comes from, and what banks actually do with it. You already know the answer. Think about it. When the bank receives your deposit, do they just keep it sitting there in your account, or are they doing something with it? Where do you think banks get the capital, the money, to lend you when you need a loan? By the end of this video, you'll finally understand why you struggle to save even 10% of your income and how to harness more of the financial energy that's flowing through your life. Hi, I'm Vern. Over the last 15 years, our team has helped over 300 families recapture over $1 million in third-party debt, like credit cards, lines of credit, mortgage payments, truck payments, so the money flows back to a system that works for them instead of the banks. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Vern, things are just too expensive. My money goes straight into the bank and right back out the door to pay bills. How could I possibly control the flow of my cash? I hear you, and that is absolutely valid. And what have you been told to do? Save 10% of your income. Conventional wisdom says to just make your 10% work harder. Take more risk. Make more money. Max out your RSPs. Be patient. Wait 30 years, and everything will be fine. And don't worry, you'll need less money in retirement anyways. And that is absolute BS. And you know it. But you tell yourself everything's okay, yet you can't shake this uncomfortable feeling in a general sense that something is off. The lack of clarity leaves you unsure about your current situation and where your future is headed. This isn't theoretical. You're already witnessing the consequences. Give this a quick Google. How many Canadian seniors live below the poverty line? You'll find that it's in the hundreds of thousands. Hey man, I get it. You're working hard. You're doing the best that you can with the knowledge and resources that you have. You're not failing because you lack discipline. That's a symptom of the problem. It's actually a system issue. You're participating in a system that you don't own and you don't control. And if you don't own it, you're a victim of it. The difference between families who build generational wealth and those who just survive comes down to two things: your behavior and who controls the banking function as it relates to your needs. By banking function, we just mean who controls your access to cash, your access to capital. Who has the power to say yes or no when you need money? That makes sense. But where do I even begin? Well, the first thing you can do is make sure you leave a deposit into your financial education by subscribing to the channel. The next thing is to start building new habits. Because if you do everything that everyone else does, you'll wind up with what everyone else has. We've got to start thinking and doing things differently if we want to achieve a different result. And it's simpler to implement than you might realize. You just need the right structures to remove the friction points that prevent you from taking action and that support your natural behaviors. Let's make it real. I have a client. His name is Dan. Dan's in his mid-40s. He's making about $90,000 a year. And when we met Dan, he had done a decent job of accumulating assets in various places. He had access to capital, meaning cash and savings. But because he could afford it, he also did a decent job of accumulating debts, which means payments. There was thousands flowing away every month. Dan didn't really see it as a problem because the money was always there to make the payment. And he didn't know any other way. On top of that, Dan never thought about how much interest he was losing. Why would he? No one told him to. But this is interest he could have otherwise earned himself if the capital, money, was working for him instead of the banks. Intuitively, Dan knew it, and he was very frustrated about it, especially after having a conversation with our team. I asked Dan one question. Are the assets you've accumulated consistently and reliably putting more money in your pocket than your debts are taking out of your pocket? Every time I've asked this question, the answer was no. And Dan was no different. I'm going to share an extremely key point. I want you to really pay attention. Does it make sense to take more risk to grow your capital, your 10%. And what I mean by taking risk is finding really aggressive investments with the potential of giving you big returns, but also have the potential for massive losses? Or does it make more sense to find ways to redirect what's leaving you, the 90%? You see, Dan was a more valuable asset to the bank than Dan's assets were to him. I'm going to say that again. Dan was a more valuable asset to the bank than Dan was to himself. Let that sink in. Now, here's a question for you. When you pay off a debt, do you redirect that regular debt payment into a separate account to build liquid reserves for the future? Most people don't do it that way. The money just gets absorbed in the family budget because you're not intentional with the flow of your money. Sound familiar? That's what we help Dan shift. Here's a simple fact. You are already used to living without that money. You're used to paying everybody else but you. What if we tap into that habitual behavior of systematic payments? Maybe it's $100 a week. Maybe it's $1,000 a month. Whatever works best for you. Pay yourself first. Every time you get paid, put a percentage into a financial freedom fund. It doesn't matter where the money goes right now. It could be just a savings account. Your only objective is to work the muscle of building capital. Build it up to pay off a debt. Pick a small one. After you pay off the debt, take that payment you were making to service that debt and redirect it back to the financial freedom fund. Now you've got two payments going to your financial freedom fund. The original pay yourself first deposit and the debt payment that you just freed up. Be intentional with building a system, follow a process, be consistent. It's that simple. This is the universal truth that financial gurus, financial entertainers, and the slimy get-rich-quick salespeople don't talk about. Building long-lasting wealth starts with a burning passion to get out of financial prison. Understanding your problem, being clear about your desired outcome, and what you're committed to. You need to know what you're fighting for. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Then build simple, repeatable habits based on your natural behaviors that consistently increase your liquid net worth, your access to capital. Building a family banking system is a lifestyle. It's a way of operating. There are plenty of products and tools that will speed up the process, and we'll explore those as we go. But none of that matters if you don't first focus on building your habits, your behaviors, and knowing what drives you. That's what this channel is all about. Coaching you on how to get more out of the 90% that's leaving you today. Okay, so I really need you to get something. This is a lifelong game. And when you're building something significant that really matters, success comes at the end. So it's really important to create milestones or goals along the way. We coach our clients to set a 90-day win. For you, that might be setting up your simple structure for your financial freedom fund and to start building the habit of paying yourself first. For Dan, in the first 90 days, we eliminated a major debt that was costing the family $750 a month. That immediately freed up cash flow, reduced stress, and gave them clarity and control. Dan didn't stop making the $750 payment. We simply coached him to redirect it to his family bank. Instead of that money disappearing every month, we redirected it into a system that builds for Dan and his family, creating future access to capital, more flexibility, and the ability to take advantage of opportunities that track him down. Now, you might be skeptical, and if you're not, you really should be about everything that you've been told, including what you've been doing for most of your life. Borrow from banks, give your money to the expert investor guy, lock it away for years, trust the system, and hope it all works out. But if that trusted advice worked so well, wouldn't more people be winning? Wouldn't they be feeling a lot more certain about their futures? Wouldn't you? At some point, we have to step back and ask ourselves, does following the majority actually lead to the results you want? Because the people who have control, clarity, and real wealth don't think or act like the majority. If you want a different outcome, you have to start thinking differently, doing what wealthy people do. Otherwise, nothing changes. Now you understand. It's not just debt, taxes, or inflation. It's the fact that you don't control where your money flows and you lack the structures to make it happen. There's no silver bullet or quick fix that will solve your problem either. It takes time and consistency. But the good news is the time is going to go by anyway, so you may as well get to work. If you're earning income, covering your expenses, saving, or paying down debt, but you still feel like you're not getting ahead, this is for you. In our next video, I'm going to expose how obsessing over interest rates gets you caught in the bank's rate trap and how they use that distraction to blind you from the real problem: interest volume.